in this series here on types of dogs, and I want to say something about the last one that I posted. If you didn't catch it, you need to go back and watch it and get a laugh at yours truly. You know, I play the Bubba character sometimes that you've seen if you've gone back in the videos, and I think it may have been a combination of the Bubba brain, lack thereof in my head, the fact that I've been up and down with puppies being born and getting very little sleep compared to normal, and just a whole lot going on. But in that last video, I referred to the way you measure a dog, and I can't believe I did. I knew better, but I caught myself every single time, instead of saying withers, which is the term that is used for the top of the back right at the bottom of the neck that you take the measurement, I said willows numerous times during that video. So if you didn't see that, you need to go back and watch that and get a laugh at me. It's funny that somebody would make a mistake like that, and if you truly need a laugh, just laugh at me on that one. But I'm gonna tell you something, if you can't laugh at yourself, you're a little too hung up. So had I caught it earlier, I might have been tempted to go redo the video, but anyhow, it's gonna be funny because it's out there now, and now more y'all will probably pay more attention to what I say. It's funny that either y'all were practicing the fruit of the spirit of kindness and gentleness and not calling me out on it, or maybe you were just listening and saying, oh, okay, it's called the willows. Maybe you didn't know, but I imagine most of y'all knew and were just nice. You know, sometimes I sit in church and you know what the pastor's trying to say, but he might say something that's a different name, but you know what he's trying to say, and so you don't correct him. So I appreciate y'all being kind and gentle to me on that. But if you didn't catch that, go back and watch it and you'll get a laugh. Anyhow, on to today's topic. We're going to talk about the type of dogs today is field trial dogs. And I know a lot of people are into field trialing. I myself am not. I'm going to be the first to tell you the reason I've got my computer here is I've had to look up some stuff, and I'm going to have to refer to it because I do not know the field trial formats. And so I'm not trying to tell you that I'm an authority on field trial dogs. I'll just go over some of it and apply it the way that I think we can apply it to our life. Field trial dogs doesn't necessarily mean they're not a hunting dog, but there are different styles of field trial dogs that may or may not be characteristics that you would want if you're a hunter. And it doesn't mean you're not a rabbit hunter. It doesn't mean that you're below anybody because you field trial. A lot of guys love to field trial, and they've done well at it, and there's a whole world out there of field trial. If you're into field trialing and want to talk to, want to go and hear somebody really talk about a lot of field trialing stuff, I'd suggest that you go on to a Facebook page, a group called The Check Area. Jimmy Abshire has a person on there once a week, and they talk field trial, big time field trialers, and all that. I am not a field trialer. Don't look down on field trialers, but it's just not my cup of tea. I'm too busy taking care of everything that I'm taking care of, raising dogs and everything else, and running and training, that there's no way that I have time to field trial, but I really don't care for it myself. I've only been to one field trial, and it was one that was timed. And it was just a fun run because my dogs are not AKC registered, so I cannot go to an AKC sanctioned event. I could do NKC or ARHA or UKC, and I have had some people that have bought dogs from me that have done the NKC and ARHA. Now, saying that, I have pulled up some information. This is not me. This is information that I've pulled up. This was on rabbitdogs.net. And this person says, and this was March 10th of 2019, this person said, I'll try and help with the NKC ARHA Little Pack format. I'm addicted to it. It's fast. As most know, with fast can come what some consider rough. But in my eyes, it's what a hunting beagle should be. Mind you, it's just my opinion, and I know absolutely nothing about hounds. Little Pack format is pretty simple, honestly. Dogs obtain points for first to open, and rabbit is produced within 3 minutes. Dog which opened is awarded 10 points. Dog who jumps the rabbit is awarded 30 points. A tight-mouthed dog is ideal. One that opens when it jumps the rabbit is the dealer's choice. That dog would typically jump out to a 40-point lead. And then dogs in our check area which means 15 seconds without an advancement. So if there was no running for 15 seconds, the next dog that opens up picks up the check and drives the line is awarded 25 points. So what he's saying is basically if one dog opens up, then they put them on a clock and they have 3 minutes for the rabbit to actually be jumped. If a different dog jumped it than the one that opened up first, that dog that opened up first would get 10 points and the other dog would get 30. That's in the NKC ARHA little pack format, according to this guy. And then there would be a check if there was 15 seconds of no advancement. Any dogs barking, whoever got that would get 25 points. So dogs are given a -10 for striking and no rabbit produced in the 3 minutes after the strike. So in other words, if a dog opened up and nothing was produced, no rabbit was produced, they'd get a strike. A strike is, or -10, I'm sorry, they would get a -10. A strike is 3 barks in a sequential manner. And then the dog would receive a -10 for pulling dogs out of the check area. So if it took off somewhere else out of the check area, they're gonna give it a -10. If you receive 3 minuses in the 1 hour hunt, your dog is picked up. If you run off game, your dog is disqualified. I like that. Those are pretty much the basics of the NKC Little Pack, according to this guy. Here's a person that says there's a difference. There's differences in AKC and ARHA and UKC. To put it basic, AKC has a few formats: gun dog brace, which dogs run off head to head and must defeat the hound behind them. Small packs, where packs are run and winners chosen from that dynamic. And then the first series can move to a second set of considered hounds, but must wind up in a winner's pack from where winners are chosen. And then it says ARHA has differences also. The great part is off game running is severely punished with an instant disqualification. 3 times of running off game in the ARHA in a year and you're out for a year. And so that's what one person is saying about this. All this stuff, of course, to me is totally a foreign language. But I do want to let me flip over here to another spot that I had on here and see if I can find what I was going to say. Let's see. Trying to find the right one. Just bear with me 1 second. So many articles on this stuff. Let's see. There was okay, here we go. This person commented that if you're close to and have a good gun dog, you need to go to an NKC ARHA field trial. That was what this person said. Now, what the other person said back to him is ARHA little pack, first and foremost, a dog needs to cause many checks. Now, this is not my statement. This is what another person said. They need to cause many checks. If they run the rabbit smooth and don't cause checks, they don't tally up much of a score and will be outscored by other sloppy packs that run hit and miss. The big plus to ARHA and UKC is handlers and judges don't jump rabbits. Unfortunately, ARHA Little Pack and Progressive Pack have unofficially merged, and clubs often run the same hounds with same judges and just call them by different names. And this person said AKC has disgraced itself by jumping rabbits for the dogs. Some judges allow the dogs to hunt, but as a judge, if you tell the handlers to keep out of the brush, they look at you as if you've got some crap on your face, was their quote. The gun dog brace and UBGF, the emphasis is on line control. Slow and mouthy dogs are tolerated. Lack of hunt is tolerated. When conditions are ideal, some can run quick and very accurate. And then they talk about AKC Midwest is similar to an ARHA Little Pack dog, fast and rough, frequently calls long checks. They never recover. Rarely do dogs stay in the check area. A few might come back to the check after they make a huge circle and come back empty. When running conditions are ideal, they can pound a rabbit. Judge make a huge difference in what is tolerated. And then it says AKC Large Pack, the dogs drive Little of any effort is given to identifying faulty dogs. Heavy emphasis is placed on the dogs that cross the mark line first. It's similar to a fox or coyote pen. Proper endurance conditioning is a big factor. All I know about a large pack is they run at least 3 hours. That's all I know. I'm not saying any of this stuff that I read you is 100% accurate because I haven't been to these field trials. This is just some stuff I pulled up. I thought it was interesting, though, the one person made the point that if you have a smooth running dog that jumped the rabbit and just kept pounding it, you would not have as many checks, so therefore you would not have as many points. So that a dog that's running in a pack of a bunch of sloppy hounds that can't keep one going and they keep having checks, then they're going to rack up a lot more points. That's kind of where I have some problems with field trials myself, is it just doesn't seem like, and probably there's really no way to actually accurately keep it totally 100% the same way. I want to read you something here. January of 1971. I know this is a long time ago, but Field and Stream put out an article that I printed off here. And the reason I said this is when I went to the field trial that I went to, we did a pack. And we had 30 minutes of run time, 15 minutes to jump a rabbit or you were disqualified, 30 minutes of run time, and you got positive run time by how much you run the rabbit out of the 30 minutes. A guy with walkie-talkies won it. I think I've already told you that story. Then you had to have the dogs back under control without shock collar within 15 minutes. Then they did what they called a best hound. But they made a statement at that field trial that I'd never heard before because I'm not a field trialer. And the statement was, if we get a dog that's out there getting too much rabbit, we're going to pick it up. Now, it didn't make sense to me. I'm a pretty simple country boy, and I don't know how a rabbit dog can get too much rabbit. Okay, but that's what they said. Like they didn't want one that just took off with the rabbit. Running it the right way. So, I found it interesting that I found this article from January 1971 in Field and Stream. It says, that's the way they started the article, if you have a beagle that runs too much rabbit, the field trial beagler said, you might as well sell him to a hunter because the trial judges favor a slow hound. Another man whose beagle was doing well enough in trials to be brought back in the second series commented frankly, I do my hunting with another beagle. He really runs a rabbit, but the judges wouldn't look at him in a field trial. Sounds like strange talk from men whose beagles are in a contest designed to measure the competence of hunting hounds, and it sounds more alarming to hunters because field trial winners dominate most breeding programs. Fortunately, the situation is not as bad as it seems. What began as an improvement in beagles has drifted into a fad that hardly seems related to its origin. The fad may be a threat to the beagle as a hunting breed, but it's a long way from spelling doom for the merry little hound. Nevertheless, a hunter could be extremely disappointed if he brought a field trial beagle. He could become owner of a hound so slow that a hunter would have to camp out overnight to see the rabbit come around to the gun. But armed with the knowledge of how the fad came about and what's taking place in field trialing today, the shooter can still find excellent hunting stock, some better than ever. The traditional job of a beagle is to bring the rabbit around to the gun, and there are a lot of things the hound can do wrong in the process. He can drive too fast and force the rabbit into a hole, or he can waddle around and let the track grow cold under his feet while his master grows hot under the collar. But the worst thing a beagle can do is lose the trail. If the hound can't stay on the line, there's no hunt. By the same token, if the beagles can't stay on the line, there's no field trial. Field trialers recognize the hounds spend most of their working time on trail, so that's where beagles are judged. And the rule book still allows for beagles to be judged on searching and finding game, but it's left to the judge's discretion. And I won't read the whole rest of the whole article, but I found it interesting that, you know, they're talking about those walkie-talkie dogs that, you know, they made the statement that someone would have to camp out overnight and how hot the guy would be if he was waiting that long for them. And then I found it interesting, the statement about, well, this is the one I bring to the field trial, but if I want to go hunt, I have another one. See, for me, I catered my breeding program to hunting dogs, not to field trials, not putting down field trials. But that's how I built my business of what I do. with it. And so I wanted to read one more thing off of here, and this is straight off of AKC's rule books and everything that they have. And I found this interesting for me. The AKC Code of Sportsmanship, and they started back in 1884 was when they started having competitive events. But this is what they said. Sportsmen respect the history, traditions, and integrity of the sport of purebred dogs. Sportsmen commit themselves to values of fair play, honesty, courtesy, and vigorous competition, as well as winning and losing with grace. Now, I'll tell you right now, the field trial I went to, it was a bunch of grown men whining and acting stupid over something as insignificant as a ribbon, okay? So that didn't turn me on at all to it. Sportsmen refuse to compromise their commitment and obligation to the sport of purebred dogs by injecting personal advantage or consideration into their decisions or behavior. The sportsman's judge judges only on the merits of the dogs, and considers no other factors. I haven't experienced this, but I hear guys over and over and over again tell me that politics and friendly judging based on who you know is what they don't like about field trialing. Others are, they say the judges are fair. I'm not there, so that's something that some of y'all would know more about. The sportsman judge or exhibitor accepts constructive criticism. Good luck with that one. Most people don't want constructive criticism. The sportsman exhibitor declines to enter or exhibit under a judge where it might be reasonably appear that the judge's placements could be based on something other than the merits of the dogs. The sportsman exhibitor refuses to compromise the impartiality of a judge. The sportsman respects the AKC bylaws, rules, regulations, and policies governing the sport of purebred dogs. Sportsmen find the vigorous competition and civility are not inconsistent and are able to appreciate the merit of their competition and the effort of their competitors. Some do, some don't on that. Sportsmen welcome, encourage, and support newcomers to the sport. Just like anything else, there's some that do and some wouldn't give anybody the time of day. Now this one I really found to be really interesting, and good luck if you can find people like this. I know there are some, but this dog world is full of ones that don't abide by this rule. Sportsmen will deal fairly with all those who trade with them. Lord, that would be nice if that was the case in the world, wouldn't it? Sportsmen are willing to share honest and open appraisals of both the strengths and weaknesses of their breeding stock. That's not around too much either. Sportsmen spurn any opportunity to take personal advantage of positions offered or bestowed upon them. And sportsmen always consider as paramount the welfare of their dog. Sportsmen refuse to embarrass the sport, the American Kennel Club, or themselves while taking part in the sport. Now, I'm going to say something right now that may or may not get me in some trouble. But this is just my personal opinion. Everybody's got different personal opinions. If you're the AKC and you put that out there, not to embarrass your sport, if you're jumping the rabbits for the dogs, in my opinion, you're embarrassing your sport. The dogs are supposed to jump the rabbits. Now, that walkie-talkie stuff, I don't know anything about that, but to me, if you've got a dog, they got to hunt for the rabbit, not have you jumping the rabbit for them. Just my personal opinion. And you say, okay, David, you've told us a little bit about that, and I know I've talked in general terms about something that I don't have personal knowledge of as far as I don't compete in field trials. I have seen some field trial dogs that some people think are just the greatest thing since sliced bread. They cut, they swing, they do all kinds of stuff, but they get up there and they get points and they win, so therefore they have a title. And some people just go crazy. I had a guy show up one time, and his first experience I ever had with it was he showed up he'd bought one dog from me. He showed up to look at two dogs that I had, and he was bragging about this other dog that he had. And he brought his brother, who was an ARHA field trial judge. And he said, here, I want you to judge these dogs. And I'm like, I don't know anything about this. This should be interesting. I'd already told him that the dogs were neck and neck and really pretty much just alike. They were two sisters. They actually were sisters to Maggie. So I said, I'm going to learn something today. So the guy took his jacket off and handed it to his brother. And here they went. Well, the rabbit would cross the lane, and then here would come the dogs, and then running right behind them was this guy. trying to keep up with the dogs and run. And he came back huffing and puffing and told the guy, he said, they're both nice dogs, and if I was you, I'd buy both of them, but if you're going to buy one, it's, flip a coin, which is exactly what I told him before. But anyhow, that was my first experience, and I thought, man, first of all, you can't be a fat, old, slow judge if you're going to run with these dogs and do that. And then I also realized that it's impossible in some of the places that we run for anybody to even get through the stuff to see what's going on. So that's the problem, is a lot of times there's a lot of things that can't be seen in some of your formats and everything that goes on. But, I've known people that have had dogs that won field trials, and you see them run, and this guy that was there had brought this dog, told me, he said, well, this dog right here won first place in hunt at a field trial at the ARHA. And I thought, well, I'm not trying to put that dog down, but if that's the case, I've got a lot of them that should win first place. But see, the problem is, if you just tell somebody you win something, if you want it straight up, great. I'm not belittling anybody's titles, but I can tell you, for me, I won a derby at that one field trial I went to, the puppy derby. I threw the plaque in the trash when I got home, because literally all we did is we jumped a rabbit. The dogs did. My dog jumped a rabbit, Fire. She jumped it. They ran it about 25 or 30 yards. They couldn't smell it anymore. That was the whole race. Then my buddy David's dog, which was a brother to Fire, barked 3 times, trying to get it going again. He smelled it, but never could do anything with it. They called that a check. I got first place. He got second place. They looked at the other dogs and said, that one there hunted harder than any of the other ones left, so that one gets third place. Now, how can you be proud of that? Yet there are some people that will go and tell you, oh, look at this dog right here. And Fire is a great dog, but on that day, she didn't do anything that should have merited winning a trophy or a plaque or anything. If I'm going to put something on the wall, I want to be proud of it. It's just like I could probably go out if I wanted to with a spotlight at night on my farm and shoot a nice big buck. It's illegal, okay? But would I get caught? Maybe not, okay? But if I put that on the wall, how can I be proud of something that I cheated to get? So therefore, if you're going to a field trial and you're winning because your judge is the buddy, or you've paid the judge, or whatever else might have happened, and you put that mess out there, you're just cheating yourself. Because when I've run with people who've had dogs that, this one came out of such and such that performed at the World Hunt, or this or that, I used to think, man, this is going to be some kind of dog. And they are good dogs. I'm not putting that down. But I don't have to worry about my dogs won't run with them. My dogs will embarrass themselves. So a lot of that stuff, when you have a title, that's just what it is, a title. And that's the problem we have relating it to life, is we got a lot of people running around that have titles, but yet they're not doing anything. What you do matters more than your title. How you perform matters more than your title. When I was thinking about field trials, I thought about the trials of life that we go through. And this verse here, James 1:2-4, says, count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds. For you know that the testing of your faith produces steadfastness. And let steadfastness have its full effect, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking in nothing. There's another one here that says, 1 Peter 4:12-13, Beloved, do not be surprised at the fiery trial when it comes upon you to test you, as though something strange were happening to you, but rejoice insofar as you share Christ's sufferings, that you may also rejoice and be glad when his glory is revealed. Here's another one, James 1:12. Blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial. For when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life which God has promised to those who love him. And so, I was just thinking about all the trials in life that we go through, and how sometimes we do the woe is me, and I can't believe this is happening to me. Why am I in a trial? But if you don't go through the valley and climb the mountain, you won't get on the mountaintop to have the view. And you say, what do you mean by that? Well, it's kind of like different things have to be taken care of by fire. To get gold to be pure, you have to put it in heat. and you have to let it melt, and it takes away the impurities, and what's left is a fine piece of gold. You know, sometimes when we do our habitat work, we'll run a fire through what we have that's good. And you think, man, why in the world did he do that? But what comes out of that is some even better habitat. So what I'm saying to you is, when we go through the trials of life, life is one big bunch of trials and tribulations most of the time down here. How we handle that determines how we end up, where we're placed. If we just drop out, if you had a dog that's at a field trial and it just drops out, it doesn't do what it's supposed to do, it just quits. Well, obviously it's not going to continue on, be called back to the next competition of the winner's circle or whatever terms they use. If we give up and quit, we're not much of an example. We're not going to be something that's going to be desired. And so we have to take the trials of life, and we have to count it joy when we have those, because we know that God is working a process. Everything about life is a process. Everything in life is one big field trial, so to speak. Whatever formats, and sometimes they change. Sometimes we have to slow down, and we cannot seem to move forward at very much of a fast pace. You know, there's different people going through different things. And I can tell you that sometimes you may not be the person going through that, but you may be going through that with someone that you care about. And we'll talk more about that on another subject one day. But my challenge is when you see these trials, just understand that you have someone in your corner if you know Christ, and he will help you through these trials and tribulations. And there's another verse that says, we know that all things work together for the good to those who know him and are called according to his purpose. So we may not understand what it is that we're being put through something for, but when we come through the other side, we'll be a better person for it. I hope this has helped you today, and I hope that you understand that I want to make it perfectly clear. I am not putting down field trials. If that's your cup of tea, go for it. I do not agree with, in the AKC, there are times when they do not disqualify a dog for running off game. I've seen that in different articles, and it's been talked about. To me, a dog that's a rabbit dog ought to be disqualified as soon as it runs off game and not have a chance to win. But that's just my opinion. But I don't put down field trialers if that's your cup of tea. Like I said in my other video, we all got to get along. We all got to care about it. If you're a beagler, I'm with you, man. Do your thing. Y'all have a great day.